Okay, so this one comes from Brahim. And he writes, what is the Yamaha chip, ADPCM chip replay? Any schematics on the web? All right, it's quite a technical question, isn't it? And I'll explain what it means in a sec. So this is in response to a Korg P3. You know how when I get a piece of equipment, I like to open it up and show you what's inside the box. And that was really what this was. I opened up the P3 and I said, this is what's inside the box. And I did that in November 2017. So I'll answer the questions that have been raised here. So yes, it is a Yamaha chip inside this Korg. As many of you will know, Yamaha owned Korg. So it's hardly surprising that stuff that came out around this time has a number of Yamaha circuitry components in it. The actual chip is a YM2409. Now you're getting into sort of FM synthesis chips. A YM2409, you know, I'm not 100% sure what chip that is. I don't really go into chips like in that sort of detail. Mind you, having said that, the 8-pin guy will probably be able to tell you exactly what this chip is straight off bat, but I can't. Okay, as far as I am aware, this is a PCM Roppler style device. Okay, so when Brahim asked ADPCM, what he was actually asking me was it an adaptive differential pulse code modulation playback? Yes, now you've got that in your head. Basically, what you see in a lot of, again, keyboards of this era is they will turn around and say they are PCM sample playback. So basically what they do is they sample the tone or the instrument that's being played back, they store it in this PCM format, and then that's how the sounds are then triggered. Okay, so yes, the answer is it is PCM, and to date I have not seen any service manuals or schematics on a P3 myself, so unfortunately I can't lead you to where those schematics will be. Doesn't mean they don't exist. There are a number of sites on the internet that purport to have service manuals and board schematics. Probably if you did a little bit of searching, you'd probably be able to find it. Next one. Nathan says, hi, do you know if there is a workaround or possible hack to enable those USB ports to be used with anything other than proprietary Roland? I'm on a personal quest to see if I can figure out some way of doing this. I'm going to start my experiment with different cables adapted via USB interface and USB hubs. Someone mentioned the Roland Go mixer as something to try, though that was an interesting idea. Does anyone have a Go mixer they could try this out and let us know? Any other possible insight would be greatly appreciated. So this was in response to a video I did right at the beginning of this year, actually, in January 19, which I went through and said, okay, the Roland MX-1 here, these are the USB ports explained. Okay, so for those who don't remember that video, it's quite simple. On the back of the Roland MX-1, there are 4 USB A style ports, one of which is a powered port, the other of which are just pure data ports. So, and there's been a lot of sort of speculation about what you can and cannot use with the Roland MX-1. Now, the bottom line is here, guys, that Roland have built a proprietary interface for their equipment. The idea is that their equipment will function with an MX-1. There have, as far as I'm aware, been no extensions to the MX-1 code that will allow other instruments to interact with the MS-1 properly. Now, you might get some instruments to make noises, but they won't actually be recognized by the MS-1 per se. Now, I've used the powered port to power other pieces of equipment that are not Roland, but I've never been able to get so far with the pieces of equipment I've got lying around the studio that use USB in this fashion, than to play back and be able to use the faders, okay, to control volume and such like. So from that perspective, I have failed miserably on this matter. Now, in terms of using the Roland Go mixer, I'm struggling to see how that would work. Now, I use a Go mixer, okay? Actually, this is being recorded through a Roland Go mixer, okay? So I know how the Go mixer works. I can't see how the Go mixer will work with the MX-1. The Go mixer was introduced after the last firmware update for the MX-1. And as far as I can see, the MX-1 is not a true class compliant device insofar as it will recognise things plugged into it. However, it is class compliant if you plug it into... no, actually it's not. I'm talking rubbish. It's not class compliant because you have to load drivers. So there you go. It's not class compliant. I'm talking rubbish. So there you go. There's my answer. Another one from my friend user 3333. So this was in response to the TB-303 day piece I did a couple of weeks back now in March, and where I basically went through sort of the basic potted history of the 303 and how it was actually considered a failure by Roland when they brought it out. So here we are all these years later, and it's you know, these units are so expensive to buy second hand. And he writes, hello tech guy, I've also got the TB3, and I think the TB3 is an absolute fab device, I have to be honest, because it's sitting over there, because I've been playing with it with the KordBot, video to come. And I think it's great, so do I. I have had a go on one of the originals in the mid-90s. Well, I've had a couple of goes on the original, but as you know, I sort of said my thing. Although I've never had friends in the scene in the early 90s, I went to a number of raves, and the so-called benefit of the TB-303 was to give the ravers energy to dance well into the morning all the way to the after party, which then played chill out. I think also the sort of energy to dance came from the copious amounts of alcohol, copious amounts of energy drinks, and copious amounts of other substances that were probably being sold at the same time. I also was in this scene, although never partook. The idea was to take a trip or an upper, which the brain apparently responded well to with the screeching of the 303. Raver's personal CD collection would likely be like everybody else, Pink Floyd, the Rolling Stones, etc. So they probably wouldn't rate dance music listening at home during the day unless you were a techno DJ. Well... I have to be honest and say I think you've hit the nail on the head. Most of these people wouldn't listen to dance music any other time of the day apart from when they were off their trolleys in a club where the techno music was going. Now it's really weird actually, because in London, which is obviously where I lived when I was younger. I live outside London now, but I lived in London when I was younger, and there was a place called Bagley's Warehouse, and this place was around the back of King's Cross train station. So you went basically down the side of King's Cross train station. There was a pub right in front of you called the Chapel, and you walk past that, and there was Bagley's Warehouse, and that was the mecca for these sort of things. You could always go to Bagley's. There was always a night going on there of some description. My brother's friends actually used to run the Best of British night in Bagley's Warehouse. So there's a piece of trivia for you. So if you ever went to a Best of British, that was my brother's mate who used to run that, and we were all there in the day. So that, you know, that's where we used to go. That's where all this stuff used to go down. Anyway, it's a piece of trivia. Bagley's Warehouse, of course, now is a upmarket shopping centre. Don't know what happened there. I was sitting there busily recording, and all of a sudden the screen went blank. Hey ho. So this one's from SP404 Hype Noddy Q Sound Junkie. I do love the name. Brilliant. And he writes, I ordered mine back in December. I'm beyond impatient. How long did it take for you to receive your KordBot after they notified you the shipping label was finally created? They sent me a notice about 3 weeks ago. Does that mean they've just started building it, or I'll have to wait another quarter of a year before they ship it out? So this is in response to a Sunday morning rant I did last July in 18, where I think I just received my KordBot at that point. Now, the first thing to understand is I waited nearly a year for my KordBot, okay? From the point I saw it and ordered it, It took nearly a year. And unfortunately, Brad, who is the guy who runs Isla Instrument over in Florida, okay, who happens to be an English chap, by the way, but he has suffered, I think, quite a lot from small company teething issues. You know, he's had to get the circuit boards made, he's had to go out to suppliers and get them to tender for running and building these things and putting components on circuit boards and as final assembly and all the other things that have to go in to produce a final KordBot before they can ship it to you. And he has had a number of problems setting up the supply chain. I know he has, he's done videos about it, he's quite open and candid about it. He does apologise. I'm not talking for him, I'm just saying, you know, if you go to the Isla Instruments website and go to the blog site, you'll see a number of videos where he is talking about things. And recently he posted a video on the website saying that he had basically had a gun put to his head, figuratively speaking, by the local manufacturer that assembled the boards for him, in terms of they were going to hike the prices they charge quite considerably. I think he says something like 120% or figures to that, which were uneconomic for him. So he's had to source that particular part of the manufacturing process from another supplier. He's probably had to pay for the supply chain to be set up and the machine and the tooling to be set up, so it's sort of delayed things a bit. I know he is frantically, as per the latest video, trying to sort of build the next batch. So hopefully you will have your KordBot soon. I love mine. I'm not playing with it enough. I'm not playing with music enough for the last number of months, for various other reasons. So, but I hope you enjoyed the KordBot as much as I've enjoyed the KordBot. So this is the point in the video where I turn around to you, my viewer, and say, if you enjoyed the content of this video, please give it a thumbs up. The way the Google and YouTube analytic engines work is that the more likes you get against a video, the more it gets promoted by YouTube and Google, and therefore more people with the similar interests to what you have and I have get to see this content. This channel is driven by my love of music technology. That's what it's called, the Music Tech Guy Thought. If you've got queries, want to ask questions about themes or issues I raise on this channel, please do put your comments into the comment section below the video, and I will try to address whatever issue it is you've raised or whatever question you've raised. If it's something to do with me making future videos in terms of how to do something on a particular piece of equipment I possess, please feel free to say that as well. I can't promise to make videos on all the requests I get, but I do have a jolly good go at making most of them. Around about here is the subscribe button. Again, to do with the YouTube and Google analytic process, the more subscribers the channel gets, the more the channel gets promoted, and the more people get to see the content that you have obviously just watched. If you want to see my latest video, it will be in one of these two boxes on this side of the screen. Also, there is a second box there, and that video will be chosen for you by YouTube based on your YouTube preferences. I look forward to the next time that we interact, and I do mean interact because I always enjoy reading your comments back to me. But for now, bye bye.